Air quality affects everyone across the Atlanta region. To help better understand it, I have with me two experts on the science and economic impact of our air quality. Joining me is Dr. Michael Chang, a senior research scientist in the School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at Georgia Tech. His research focuses on how nature, economics, and culture contribute to environmental challenges and solutions. And we have Kevin Green, Vice President of Environmental Affairs with the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. He works to advance regional initiatives on water resources, air quality, and land use, and also serves on the board of the Clean Air Campaign. Welcome to The Shape of Things to Come. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, our job today is to really explore Metro Atlanta's air. And I would like to begin by asking the very simple question of what are the causes of the problems in our air quality in Atlanta?
Well, I think it's the problems that we all know. It's cars, trucks, buses, electric power generation,
Can you break it down? What portion of it? What portion of it is, say, cars and trucks?
In the metro area wide, it's probably about 40% cars and trucks, maybe 30%, 40% electric power generation, and the rest is a mix of things, cars, lawnmowers, weed whackers,
all those handy gadgets we use around the house.
Airport servicing equipment, locomotives, recreational boating. You know, anything that's essentially burning fuel in some way or the other is generating air pollution problems.
And what is it about our weather and geography that also contributes?
Well, it's hot. You know, Atlanta's hot, and in the summertime, the weather doesn't really move. I mean, we get a long stagnation period, times where just the wind isn't blowing. It's not moving any of these pollutants that we're putting into the atmosphere out of here. Geography, there's nothing of particular concern here other than we perhaps don't have any geographic barriers to prohibit kind of the sprawling access, the sprawling landscape that we've encountered over the last 20 years or so.
What are the standards right now for air quality?
Well, the federal government sets standards for about a half a dozen pollutants, and of those there are two that are at issue in Metro Atlanta. That's ground level ozone and fine particulates. Ground level ozone is, as Michael said, really related to hot, sunny weather. That's the conditions where it's ideal for ozone to form.
It really bakes,
it bakes and it combines various gases and they form ground level ozone. Fine particulates is another really new standard. So if you look at the two standards that are issued in Metro Atlanta, the region actually attained the ozone standard in 2005, and that was after about 20 years of work. And then the standard was made tougher that very year. So now we're not in compliance with the new ozone standard. And the new standard for fine particulates, which is called PM 2.5, which is relates to the size of these, which are really tiny, 2.5 micron pieces of particulates. That's a brand new standard for us. So the standards are getting tougher, and what we're trying to regulate is tiny, and our region is growing like gangbusters.
Michael, I've interviewed you before, and I remember discussing 2005, and the question is, did we really do a lot better job? Did we do a much better job in curbing our pollution, or did the weather have a great deal to do with meeting standards in 2005?
It's probably a mix of both. If you go back to the late 90s, 98, 90, 99, we had 62 bad air quality days in 1998. We had 69 bad air quality days in 1999. By 2003, I think we were down to 13. By 2004, it was around 11. I think last year it was 13, 14, 15, something like that. So is it all weather? Is it all
we are,
due to something we did?
we're going back up now.
We're going back up. Today, as of right now, we have 23 days. It's a little bit of both. We can't claim victory.
How does Atlanta compare to other metro areas in the country?
Well, we're not the worst and we're not the best, and as Michael says, we've still got a lot of work to do. As was mentioned, we've made a lot of progress on air quality in the last 20 years. I think some people really think that air quality is getting worse because our region continues to grow and there's more people and more cars. In fact, the air is significantly cleaner now than it was 20 years ago.
Look at the economic impact. Does air quality have a direct economic impact to the region?
Depends on who you ask. In one measure, you could say that our region has been challenged on air quality since 1980, and during that time, our population has doubled. So it's certainly not keeping people from moving to the metro region. If you're an industry and you're operating in Metro Atlanta or thinking about moving to Metro Atlanta, you can bet you'll probably be making more significant investments in emissions control than you would in perhaps in other areas of the United States.
It needs to be built into your budget, your bottom line.
It does, and there are various impacts with air quality that like transportation. You know, we have, obviously, transportation congestion is a big economic impact on the metro region, and the time people spend sitting in traffic and reduced productivity is an economic impact on the region. That also has to do with air quality. It's hard to put a dollar amount on, you know, increased health or things like that, but, you know, one thing's for sure, and that is, if you're going to have an economically competitive region, you're going to have clean air, and people demand it. I mean, breathing is not optional.
Some businesses have been particularly good about coming to the table, coming really to the forefront to set an example for others. What are some of the businesses doing that are really helping at this point?
Well, Atlanta's got a long history, a civic history of business involvement in terms of improving quality of life, and I think air quality is a perfect example. Georgia Power has stepped up to the plate and made significant investments in terms of clean air technology on their power plants, but then they also look at the employee side. They're a large employer. What can they do to you know, provide commute alternatives for their employees?
Are you finding more and more businesses are beginning to entertain the telecommuting and maybe the one day a week you stay home and you get to work at your computer while still contributing, but really have the flexibility to make that company a leader that it could be?
I think you're seeing more and more of it. You're seeing companies like Coca-Cola and UPS and Georgia Pacific and Turner Broadcasting and a whole host of others, Bell South, that are making significant investments and changing policies to both improve employee commutes, make it, you know, less of a burden on their employees to get to and from work.
Michael, what would people at home do if they were really going to contribute in a meaningful way?
Well, I think it's the type of things that Kevin is talking about in terms of being able to find alternatives to move around, to using any type of energy, whether in the home, in the workplace, on the road, that there are opportunities that abound to do things a little bit differently than we've done in the past. And people are creative. They can find their own ways to get to work, whether it's walking, biking, taking the bus, taking the train, whatever that might be. And so there's no specific one-size-fits-all that I can give you a top 10 list and say, go do these things. A lot of people may already be doing those types of things already.
With that, I'd say thank you to both of you, Dr. Michael Chang and Kevin Green. I appreciate your time on Shape of Things to Come.
Thank you for having us.